While structure selection is very important, also regulating the heat and humidity inside your chosen structure is also equally important. So if you find that the high tunnel works for you or the caterpillar tunnel, you do have to keep in mind how are you going to regulate the heat and humidity, particularly during those main summer growing months. And I'll take you out in the field here, show you a little comparison, and hopefully give you some tips and tricks.
All right, so here we're going to be talking about heat and humidity, and what better day than a 90+ degree temperature day in the late of July to talk about heat, but also here in southern New England, we've got the humidity as well. And if we have heat and humidity out here, usually it's more of everything inside any of the structures. So we can see the caterpillar tunnels on the far side there that have their end walls raised to help increase airflow. We also see a very similar type of structure here with the hoop house, rolling up its sides to, again, move airflow. Right now the air is very still here. We're in a little bit of a raised area here. I'm sure this gets a lot of natural airflow, which is the reason why we like to roll up the sides. You'll also notice here and on the upper side there, we have vents to our hoop house because traditionally the door here can be closed. We see the door laying on the side here to just maximize airflow. But the goal is if the door is closed, we can regulate that temperature as we're talking in those early parts of the season. Your caterpillar tunnels, it's kind of like an up or a down. It's really not something you're going to be adjusting necessarily on a daily basis. You're going to see a heat wave, you're going to see the summer coming, you're basically going to roll them up and you're going to leave them there. This offers a little bit more of that options there for the grower early in the season in particular. Now we get to this part of the season. This is again where the advantage of our hoop house comes into play. So we've got a lot of height to this. We've got a lot of area for a lot of that heat to go. So as a result, a lot of the hot air, of course, is up there, but we've got natural airflow coming in through the door and along on the sides. So that is helping keep this area a little bit cooler. With that cooler temperature, we also forget about plants are transpiring. That's moving water from the roots to the shoots and out into the atmosphere. So they're also increasing the humidity in this area. As a result, that flowing of air helps rid the area of that humidity. The reason why you don't want humidity hanging in here is that's going to increase your odds of diseases, your leaf molds, your powdery mildews, just in general, some of your bacterial diseases could all be encouraged by that lingering humidity, which is why you see the advantage of these roll-up sides as well as the increased height. Now, it's not to say your caterpillar tunnels are going to get all your diseases, but having more air movement is, of course, going to reduce that chance. And we can see there with that underflow there, that air is going to be moving and circulating. Maybe not as well as this structure, but as we can see, there's a lot of investment with this structure. So you can't necessarily put all of these throughout all of your fields. Much more apt to do that with your caterpillar tunnel. So that's why you tend to see more caterpillar tunnels down in rows, growing a larger volume of crops than, say, your high tunnels. We want to maximize this, again, at those early parts and end parts of the season when we're able to regulate that temperature. And remember, with temperature also comes that regulation of humidity. If you walk in there and all of a sudden you feel it really humid, that's because your plants are moving that water, so you might want to increase your air circulation. So there's just that kind of little feel. When you take that step in, when the door's closed, you might feel that difference in that change for your own self. That's going to tell you what your plants are experiencing. So we want to try to maximize the structure when the outside conditions are not the greatest, but we have days like today where the inside and outside, it's almost a detriment to really jack the heat up above 90 degrees. So we're trying to today create ambient conditions as much as we can. We're trying to create the outdoor as much as similar to the indoor. On days where it's not as favorable outdoors, that's why we have this structure to modify that. So again, natural air circulation, you could add exhaust fans to help move air, but of course that requires electricity, which again could be an option for some areas, but when you're in a remote location, it may not be. So having these options here of this natural airflow really help replicate the outdoor conditions inside, but then having the roll-up sides in the plastic gives the grower that option to make those adjustments when the outside conditions are not as favorable.